All right. So we are on here live with Facebook. I'll let a couple people jump in. I am with Adam McChesney, owner of Mizz Marketing, where they do, I'm telling you, they do a bunch of stuff, but these guys focus on ROI-driven lead generation, and they're specialists when it comes to web design, your digital advertising, your SEO. And Adam, he's a family guy. Out there in St. Louis, Missouri, jack of all trades kind of guy, just an American dude, and really happy to have him on. So Adam, I'm going to let you take it away, and we're just going to kind of bounce back and forth, but tell us a little bit about you and what we're talking about today.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate you having me on, Winston, and looking forward to our conversation today. As you mentioned, Adam McChesney with Mizz Marketing, based out of St. Louis. We work with companies nationwide to better position themselves online through a variety of digital marketing services. You know, every client is different in their situation, from the length that they've been in business to what their goals are, to where they service. So we kind of try to put a unique approach together. Sometimes that is web design, search engine optimization, or paid advertising. We try to connect all the dots, make it simplified for them. But my background has primarily been in sales and marketing. So started my own company, really just to look to help a lot of businesses locally. In terms of the online market, we work with your blue collar or trade industry type stuff. So we have moving company clients, junk removal clients, all the way through to appliance repair, auto glass repair, window cleaning. Really like to focus in that space that people are really competing online and needing a strong digital presence.
Nice. So Adam, I think what we got planned today is we're going to talk about two main things. We're going to talk about businesses' website and how to enhance that. What are the key features? What do they need to really be thinking about? And then we're going to talk about SEO, that search engine optimization. So why don't you just kind of kick us started? I know you've got some stuff planned, but share with some folks about what's the value and importance of understanding some of these levers that make the business move.
Yeah, absolutely. So websites are important, obviously, for your brand. People have always kind of thought of it as a brochure, but it can be so much more of that. And there's multiple facets that go into having a website that's actually going to generate you leads. There's websites that are basically brochures, meaning you're having to go do the legwork and drive all the traffic to there. That could be word of mouth, business cards. It could also be paid advertising. So there's a lot of legwork going into that, or there could be the organic marketing that comes from it. So people searching for keywords and things like that come to it. So with really what you're looking for in a website today, the biggest thing for the search engine right now is a mobile friendly website. So making sure that not only is it mobile friendly, but tablet friendly. And also the speed. If you're on a website as an end user and the website takes forever to load, as a consumer, you're going to hop off that website pretty quickly. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to go. And then if it's not mobile friendly and you're having to scroll back and forth on the screen, it's just not going to work. So those are the biggest main components of kind of the face value of the website. Once you're on the website, you want to obviously educate people on what you do, where you operate, and who your target customers are with what you service. But from there, focusing really on the conversion aspect. So making sure it's very simple and easy for your end user to be able to call you, to submit a contact form request, to schedule a booking if that's an option on your website. Making sure that's simple and easy for them to get on the website and ultimately call you, because it's really just a magnet to get them there. The end goal is obviously the conversion. So there's multiple aspects that go into that.
So with it, you talked about them being mobile friendly, and I don't know if you know the stats on this, but I mean, what's the percentage of our customer base as far as them being on desktop versus mobile and tablet? There's tablet too, but I think that's kind of a very small part.
Absolutely. And I'll share my screen here in a little bit. But on one of the sections, it kind of goes over some of that stuff. It kind of depends. It used to be obviously much more heavily towards the desktop. It depends on the website. It depends on the target market and where they're going at. But I mean, some of the stuff 60-40, but a lot of the, I mean, some of them are 90-10 in favor of mobile. It just kind of depends on who you're targeting, where they're coming off of. So if you get a lot of your traffic from Facebook or Google, it could really be that people are, you know, searching that on their phone because they either need your service or they found you on a social media outlet and they're clicking directly because of it.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Do you want to share your screen and kind of show us what you got there?
Yeah, absolutely. One second here. Get this squared away. Looks like I need to be able to have that access granted.
Do that for you real quick. Boom. There you go.
Awesome. So let me get this in here.
The joy of technology. Adam, are you a millennial? You're a millennial, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're millennials. We're still learning it. Everybody, all our parents think that we're like wizards, but
yep,
you just spend maybe a little more time on it.
Awesome. Can you see my
yeah, totally.
My screen? Awesome. So this is a moving website we built not too long ago for a newer company down in the Dallas area. So kind of talking about, you know, the specifics of what we were just going over. With it being a mobile friendly website, this is what people are seeing when they're seeing it on there. And we want to make it very easy for them to obviously call right away. So they're calling almost immediately, ideally if they're getting on the website, or they can fill out a form. So you want to have multiple call to action type things for them to be able to fill out quotes, you know, call now, all those different things. So that's kind of primarily what we do in terms of the conversion of getting them on the website. So it's obviously very important to make that happen. And then informing them of all the services that you do. So Google really likes a lot of content focusing on what are they looking for? What is your target market searching for when it comes to the internet, and how is that being portrayed? So, you know, you want to make sure that you're not just talking about one particular service. You're not just talking about your company. You're educating on the services that you offer in the area specific for, in this example, Dallas.
Yeah, totally. And I think, you know, there's a lot of levers. That's kind of the word I like using, but, you know, their color contrast, you know, there's where the button is, you know, is the phone number clickable? Do you have hours listed? All these different little things, right?
Yep, absolutely. It's extremely important. And like I said, I think there's a lot of things that people focus on, or they either forget to put on their website that they just assume people either know or are not interested in learning. But the more important are the more things that you can add there that definitely educate your consumer.
And what would you say, because I see, especially with the moving companies and the junk calling companies, a lot of those folks, especially when they're new, they use maybe the free websites that they can get, you know, maybe a Google website or a Wix website or GoDaddy, WordPress, all those different ones, right? Tons of them out there. What would you say about, at what point should someone transition from that type of website to something that's more customized and fitted?
So it really depends on what your goals are for the company. In a particular example, we had this website built right as they were getting started. So they were advertising a lot on Facebook and through other avenues, and they wanted to acquire leads right as summer was getting ready to get started. So if you're just focused on having a brochure and you're not needing your website to really generate leads for you, you can keep a Wix or a free GoDaddy or one as long as you want. The problem tends to be is that people, you can make some pretty cool websites with those things, but all those platforms, GoDaddy, Wix, and then the free one on Google, is they really don't rank. They're not meant to rank. They are meant to just be kind of that reactive approach of online websites and marketing versus the proactive stuff. So we primarily either Weebly and more recently pretty much always using WordPress now. So those websites work really well with the search engines, and they get our clients the customized feel of really whatever we need. When we're working with a client, we ask for, 3 to 4 examples of websites and things that they're looking for in a website to make sure that it's what they want and knocks up all the buttons that they're looking to try to cross.
Right. Yeah, totally. And I think that goes into, and I'm sure you would agree with this, Adam, that, there's that kind of that social feeling when you start a business. One of the first things somebody asks you is, oh, do you have a website? And it was, that thing back in the early, I guess the early 2000s, it was like this thing, oh, we have a website. Like, just because you have a website doesn't mean that you have a business. Anybody can have a website now. So it's about not just saying that you have one, like the brochure mentality you're kind of talking about, but like, what's the intent and the intentionality? Like, do you have a marketing plan for it?
Exactly. And it's what you're going to do and what you're trying to accomplish. For some people, they don't need, they have other forms or they've been in business forever. They don't need, a lead generator from a website, and that's fine. But if you're doing other forms of marketing and advertising, especially online, Facebook ads, all those things, which are coupled with a great website, it makes sense to invest money in a website that's going to be able to generate leads and convert, and then couple it.
Yeah, totally. So what about, let's talk about the call to action and maybe like your lead capture stuff. Let's talk about that part.
Yep. So the call to action specifically, on this website, and we can we can track everything from obviously the forms that they submit through the free quote, but then also actually them making a phone call. So we want to make sure that all of the phone numbers are click to call. So if I wanted to call, you can call, obviously. I'm on my desktop right now, but making sure that the first thing, especially on a mobile phone, is that there's a phone right there. If someone's going to see that and say, okay, yeah, I got to the website, the content on the website is what Google is going to use to rank your website. So content, people are like, my end user doesn't like a lot of content. Absolutely. But that's what Google wants to see in order to get it there. Once they're there, it's all about how easy you're making it to convert. This is a very simple and easy website to navigate on the phone. They see the phone, they're going to click, they're going to call, or they're going to click free quote now, and then they're going to be able to go and fill out their information down here right at the bottom to be able to actually submit their information for what they need.
Right. Let's talk about, go ahead. Keep rolling.
Oh, no, I was going to say, so you really want to have two facets of call to action. One for the people that don't like using the phone, the other for the people that just want to call and have a quote and speak with you now.
Yeah, totally. And that's imperative, especially. So then we talk about with Move Up Consulting, we talk about that sales process. That's where we work with a lot of folks, and that's, you flip that coin over and it's, okay, now they've called or now they've submitted. Now what do we do? How fast are we and whatnot? But talk about maybe the copy down below when someone goes down a little bit, the about us or this description stuff. Does a company want to write in a tense of we and I and us, like it's a lot about them, or do we want to verb it as you, your, like what kind of, what kind of narrative are we writing in this?
Yeah. So in this one particular, there is a lot of we kind of letting people know that they're actually feeling and talking with a real company.
Yeah.
You can really word it either way. That's not really the main bulk of the content and where it's going or what Google's looking for. What they're looking for is educational information that is industry relevant. So we combined a lot of rich keyword research for on-site search engine optimization content, making sure that the website is speaking to Google in terms that it's a moving company in Dallas. On there, you have different header sections and title sections of each aspect. That's why you'll see some of these things that are a little bit bigger and in bold. We want to have different headers on the page to guide Google when Google's reading the website for different keywords that people are searching for. So people search moving companies in Dallas, they search Dallas moving company. And then they obviously search for specific services that they're looking for as well. So it's important to have a coupled approach with the main keywords and then also bake those keywords in to your content throughout the website, especially on the homepage.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. And I think it's this, the looking at it as the, Google is, or whatever, search engine you're on, but mainly Google, right, is a machine, and it's reading and processing this data. And we as owners have to kind of look at it like that, right? We can't just look at the colors and all the flashy stuff. It's like, well, there's a machine behind this that's the motor to whether this performs or not to our expectation.
Yep, absolutely. And there's a lot of things, that people don't realize. If your on-site search engine optimization stuff is not there, it's going to be hard to take it and actually rank it on Google. So there's multiple facets that go in. I've seen some of the greatest looking websites that are not ranking because the technical aspect of their on-site stuff isn't there. Vice versa, I've seen and I've ranked and I've built, when I first was getting started, some of the ugliest websites. And I've ranked those to the first page of Google, all because I was technically on the back end checking the boxes for what Google was looking for.
Right. So and we're kind of bouncing around. We're talking about, ranking in websites, but a lot of this is, that's why we did this talk.
Yeah.
So if you could tell someone, what are like the top 3 or top 2 most important aspects when it comes to it ranking? What would that be? I mean, is it uniformity as far as like your information, like the phone number and the address and business name and stuff, or what kind of things are the most important?
So it's a lot of it is based on content on your website. So you want your website to have plenty of content. Google really looks for, I like to have a minimum of 1,000 words on a homepage.
Okay.
And it seems like a lot, but you basically, especially when you're working, and this is great advice for new companies or companies that are basically at ground zero when it comes to their website or where they're ranking. You have to understand that you're going against, and especially in competitive markets in the moving industry or the junk removal industry, you're going up against companies that might have been on the page 1 for years. So you can't just meet them eye to eye. You have to go above and beyond what they're doing in terms of website search engine optimization in order to pass them. Right. So having a lot of content on this homepage and then about 500 to 750 words on service type pages is normally the hot spot we try to stick in. Sometimes we do some more, sometimes we do less. It just really depends. So content is extremely important along with mobile optimization. If your website is not mobile friendly, Google is penalizing your website. So if there's any sort of confusion on mobile or tablet, you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball from that aspect of it. So those are the 2 biggest things that you have to focus on before you even worry about actually going off and doing some of the more sophisticated search engine optimization stuff.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, we were talking about this before we started live here is, and this is a good segue, these new company owners that they're entering markets where there are some heavy hitters already in their market. I mean, especially, St. Louis is a big area. I think about out here, I think about that greater DC metro area, or, just these big populous areas. There's already some really strong companies that have been working on this stuff. They have more capital to spend than the new guy. So what can the new person, the new owner, how do they compete? Because if there's so many places to rank on a first page, right? So what's the squeeze there?
So we've coupled paid advertising, and that could be on Facebook, it could be on Google. We've coupled that aspect with building a website and ranking it. So in the interim, ideally long-term, you're going to have so much organic traffic coming in that you don't have to focus or put as many eggs in that paid advertising bucket.
Right.
But as your website's ranking, dependent upon the market, like for this particular client, we've been running Facebook ads since May, just generating multiple leads a day, multiple leads a week. So that way, as we're starting to see more requests come through the website, more phone calls come from the website, we have that nice medium of split up in between. So you can always resort to paid advertising, but the longer that you focus just on paid advertising, the longer you're going to continue having to fork out money,
Right.
you know, and compete in that space. Whereas organically, if you can get to that first page of Google, if you can get that incoming traffic to your website, you're not paying per click, you're not paying per lead, you're not paying for all those things.
Yeah. How about that? Because there's kind of on that first page, there's some different parts that you could be on there. What about that Google Maps part?
Yep. So great point. And this is kind of my segue into some of this stuff. So like, for example, moving company St. Louis, there is a new aspect of Google called Google Guaranteed. And if you're a moving company and you're not in this section, I would definitely recommend you doing that. We are signing up a lot of our clients for this program. It is protecting the end buyer, whoever is utilizing your services. If something were to go wrong, it's kind of just a glorified Google Ads section, but it's more job oriented. So it's really focused on the job aspect of it. More consumers are going this route versus if you do Google Ads, you're paying per click, not necessarily a job, a conversion, all those things. So these are the aspects that are paid up here. Down here is the map pack. So the Google business listings, you're gonna have 3 of them in there. A lot of phone calls come here. These are where people are seeing it on their phone. There's just a quick call now button on the mobile version, and they're calling now. So it's very important to have a Google business listing. If you don't have a Google business listing already, it's free to claim. We can assist with that if need be, but it's very easy. So the top rankings, the top factors that go into here are connected with your website, but you want to make sure that you're getting reviews, that you're responding to those reviews, and then updating this profile when anything needs to be changed. So if you change a phone number, you change an address, you want to make sure that all those things are updated, to make sure that the information that Google is seeing is relevant and still true to suit.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. And I just got to pause here because I think if people are watching this live now, or if they're watching, later this evening, I know we're in the middle of a work day for a lot of these guys, watch this whole thing, study this, like figure out this part, because if you can figure this part out, you can make your life a lot easier.
Yep.
Because when you're in, especially with the businesses that our prime season is like March to September. Well, we're headed into November. Months like November and December, January, February, it's really nice when you still got some trickle of leads coming in and you're not sitting there in ghost town. So keep rolling out. You're crushing it, dude.
Yeah, and the other thing is that too, is we're working with a lot of companies. People are going into the winter season knowing that business isn't going to be there, and we understand that. So we are putting together that plan for 2021. If you're at a standpoint where you're not ranking, or you don't have a website, or you're trying to implement all these things for next year for March, wait until February. If you wait until March, it's going to be too late. So having these conversations now and doing these things that are free and simple and easy for you to do will really pay off come next March. So then after kind of continuing on, after the map pack right here, we have the top 10 search results. So these are the top 10 down here. So it's obviously important to be here. Then there are some more ads right here. So there's multiple places that ads are on here, but everything that is organically here. So the map section and then the top 10 organic ones, you're not paying for those clicks. So that's why return on investment is so important for being on that first page of Google. And just kind of talking about what some of those statistics look like is that number 1 position in Google gets 33% of all the traffic. So 1 out of 3 people are going to go to that first spot and click that first spot.
Wow.
So it's really important to obviously be there, but even the top 3 is huge because that's taken up, well over 50% of all the traffic that stays there. And then page 1 is almost 92% of all that traffic.
Yeah.
So if you're not on page one, you might as well, not be anywhere, because no one's going to page two or beyond. You got to think about it as an end user. Not many people are going to go and continue on and try to, find past that first page.
Yeah, that's so true. And most consumers, they're probably going to call. I think that golden rule is like 3 or 4. They're probably going to try to call 3 or 4 businesses.
Absolutely.
But I mean, when you start thinking, is a consumer going to call 6, 7, 8? That just becomes a job for the consumer, right? So they're probably going to only contact those first few that they really see in that online presence.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's jump real back, the Google guaranteed. How does someone set that up? Just like a quick little thing there. How does someone get that started?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's local Google services. So if you go to local Google services, it's connected with your Google business listing. So you'll sign in and then sign up for your particular area. So if we click sign in right here, you can go in and, like, I was looking at it for one of my appliance repair clients, you click appliance repair, and then you get everything set up. And they just want to make sure, obviously, you're verified, you have a license, all those things. So you're kind of running an ad in sorts. You select your budget and all those things, and then service.
Oh, we lost him. All right, folks, we're going to have Adam back on in a minute. Apparently it was 42 degrees out there in St. Louis. So he I got froze out. While we're waiting for Adam to jump back on, if you're an owner and you're watching some of this stuff and you're like, man, we need to make a lot of changes. Well, one, watch this, study this, like I said before, and figure it out for the things that you can do. But also, there's a time when it makes sense to hire somebody like Adam. There's a time when it makes sense to outsource that type of work. Because if you're an owner, then you don't want to spend every single hour doing these types of tasks. You want to do your role as a visionary leader. So be thinking about that. All right, we got Adam back here in a second. All right, wait for him to jump on. All right, Adam, you're back, man. I told everybody, I said, man, it's like 42 degrees out there in St. Louis. It froze you out.
No, you know what it was? It was my new dog. My dog went and turned off the power cord.
No kidding.
And I was like, wow, that dog hasn't done anything in my office, but somehow found out how to turn off the power cord. So I'm just trying to get everything back up here that I had on my screen. So once,
yeah, you're good. Well,
if you want to ask me any questions about the local Google stuff.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying while you were jumping back on, I was just sharing with people, if they're watching this and they're seeing all these different nuances to this part of their business, and they're like, man, I need to do this, this, and this, like we need to make some adjustments. taking that time, budget it out in the calendar and start working on it. But also, there's a point when you need to budget out financially to outsource that task, and paying for someone maybe like yourself, Adam, or whoever it is, to handle this type of work. Because the owner, you start off and you do everything. And your goal, it sounds funny, but your goal is to quit. Your goal is to quit.
Yep.
AKA, another way of saying this is delegate. Delegation is a form of quitting. And so we want to figure out, as owners, how do we get out of doing all these tasks that don't deal with leadership? Leadership's the one thing that the owner has to keep doing. So while you're getting set back up there, we were talking about the Google Guaranteed, and you were kind of showing everybody a little bit of how to set that up. And is that something, how new is that? Because you said it was something recently.
Yes, it's been around for a little bit. I think only in like some of the bigger industries. So like your roofing, your appliance repair, things like that. So moving, I'm not sure exactly how long it's been. And then it hasn't been in all cities for, those they've kind of started adding them, and they're not taking on like any new industries right now. So I know that moving obviously is at least on there because we just saw that. Yeah. So if I had the biggest piece of advice for people that were trying to do this as they're getting started, easy things that they can do that they don't have to pay someone to do unless they want to pay someone to do, is really focusing on their Google business listing and then that Google Guaranteed, because those are things that are simple and easy to do. And you don't have to pay someone an astronomical amount of money to make that happen. So just focusing on some of those things to do it. And let me share my screen here a second. 1 second here. So this is kind of going over some of the Google Guarantee stuff. So it's just really kind of, like I said, it's big for the consumer. So making sure that the consumer is protected if something were to happen. That's really what that is all about right there. Yeah. And where consumers want to do it versus them paying for an ad or them hiring a company that maybe they don't know who they are. So it gives them a little sense of, oh, okay, this is what they're doing. So I was just clicking over to make sure I had everything. So that's kind of the end of the realm on that one, and why that's, pretty important there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's something, I mean, that sounds new to me. I feel like I just recently, you started talking about that. I was like, man, I feel like I started recently seeing that. So, I mean, that's me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, right, it's all right there.
Of the business changes. I mean, it's kind of evolving all the time. So, not just you'll see some of the older companies, and I think this is a plug back to, hey, if you're a new owner, maybe in less than a year or maybe the last couple of years, how do you compete with the guy that's been in business for 15 years that's crushing it with 90% of his business being referral and repeat? Well, sometimes those guys that have been in business for 10, 15, 20 years, they're kind of sitting on their hands. They're not up to date necessarily. So that's a way to beat them out a little bit.
Absolutely. No, that's huge. And like I said, those are things that you don't need someone to set it up. It's very simple and easy to do. Now, obviously, we can help with all of those things as well. But, as a business owner myself, if there's things that are not technical and that are simple and easy to do, like those two things, you can get a lot of phone calls and a lot of business from that.
Yeah. So true. Well, Adam, what do you have planned next? I know we had some other stuff that we were rolling through. We're kind of bouncing back around.
Absolutely. For sure. So I was just going to kind of go over, kind of talking about the website that we were just looking at earlier. I was just going to go over 2 examples of analytics and kind of why that search engine optimization stuff is so important. So search engine optimization, focuses on what you have on your website and then what you have off your website. So the on-site stuff is everything from the content to how easy it is to convert, all of those different things. And then how you title your pages. So it's important not only to have the good content, but like, for example, this main page right here, I will put into Google to show how we've titled that page. we've titled that homepage Dallas Movers, Moving Companies Dallas, and Cheap Movers Near Me, things that people are searching very frequently on Google. So if you just have your homepage titled like your company or Dallas, which a lot of like people don't understand how to title it, it throws off what Google recognizes your website as.
Right.
So once we have the on-site stuff figured out there, with title, with content, we can start ranking it organically. But it's you got to have the framework here first before things even go in that direction.
Yeah, that's so true. What about, let's say it's a company that, so like for instance, where I live at, I live pretty much in right in the city of Winchester, which Frederick County has like 90,000 people. So suburban, kind of smaller city. What about a company that they're located maybe 20, 30 minutes outside of that city? Should they be putting the main city, like the main place that they're doing the most business, or should they do the place that their business is anchored in? What do you recommend?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on what the goal is. If where they're at, they service a 30-mile radius and they'll go to that bigger city, but it's not really where they want to be or where the majority of their business is, you can use things like Moving Company Near Me. So that will link up with your Google business listing, which is obviously where your company's located at. If you are on the flip side of that, if like, let's say you're trying to go for Dallas, but you're about 30 minutes away, it is important to have something about Dallas, either in a title section, on the homepage, in your content, or I'm sure you've seen it where a lot of websites have like a locations page where they service all those areas. So you could have a page specific to every city that you were trying to target, every town, those types of things as well. So it's really it's one of those two options, and it's on an as needed, as they want to do basis, depending upon their goals.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. What about and these are just things popping up in my mind. I didn't even write these down. What about like service badges or awards or recognition things? How, I mean, do you just copy and paste those into part down below, on a bar? How important is that?
So absolutely. I mean, it is important from a consumer standpoint. So consumers want to see reviews. They want to see all those things. So as you're a new business, like this is a pretty new business, we're going to start integrating that stuff. If you've been around for a while and you have awards, a lot of those companies that give out those awards have codes that you can embed or badges that you can use on the website. And absolutely, the more recognition, the more validation that you can give to your end consumer, the better. So I always do recommend, if you do have something, it is definitely worth putting it on there.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I see a lot of times, companies' websites, they'll have customer reviews on towards the maybe the midway to the bottom of the homepage. Are you in the framework of like, yes, you should have those written copy reviews, or are you more like, hey, let's try to get video testimonials and put those on there? What's best?
Absolutely. So I think video content is way better to do. Obviously, it's a little bit harder, takes a little bit more time. So I would go the video testimonial type of route if it's an option. If not, definitely have either a written review, or there's plugins that we can put on your website that will scroll between a bunch of reviews on Facebook, Google, Yelp. So it's really a preference of what they want and what they have available. But video, I mean, you can't go wrong with video content. Video content is definitely a huge benefit.
Yeah, I totally agree too. How long, I mean, just from a consumer standpoint, how long of a video testimonial?
I would say 30 to 60 seconds tops. And you can even cut some of that down. Like video testimonials are great to use on social media as well. And if you're trying to capture someone's attention on Facebook, that's got to be between 15 seconds to 30 seconds. So I would have multiple different types of videos for social media and then for the website. If someone's on your website, they're going to stay on it probably a little bit longer than them just seeing, you know, it on Facebook and kind of scrolling by.
Yeah. How about those the folks that have the stock photos all over the website?
Yeah, I mean, the stock photos are good to get started. Like if that's your holdup and you don't have any other good photos, it's better
Right.
to have it's better to have something than nothing,
Mhm.
because you actually, what people don't realize is you take that photo and you tag a keyword and tag your location, and you can geotag things to
Mm.
a photo. So if you like don't have any photos, you're, again, with SEO, it's just kind of checking the boxes and doing them correctly, following suit with what's going to work.
Yeah.
So if you are, you know, have a list of 10 things that you're supposed to do for your moving client and you only do 7 of them, or
Mhm.
even just 9 out of 10 of them, and someone else is doing 10 out of 10, they're
Mhm.
probably going to go with the person that's doing 10 out of 10, whether or not it's done at the best of the ability, you know,
Yeah.
different scenario. But that's kind of where we want to make sure that we're checking those boxes and moving through with that.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Sorry, I had all these things popping in my head. I was like, all right, well, let's get them on the table because it's,
Yeah.
it's just all these, it's not just movers or junk haulers. It's service-based businesses in general, residential
It
home services.
it's everyone, and like kind of like you said earlier, is like there's so many levers, and sorry for kind of going off topic and going this way
Not
and that
good.
way, but it's like
This is perfect.
when, kind of like what you said though, is when something pops in your mind or when something pops in my mind, it's like there's questions that I get all the time, and it goes down a different path, like something as simple as a picture and how it is tagged on the back end of a website could help your ranking. If you don't do it, it could lead to not ranking or other problems. So
Yeah.
there's so many different things that go into websites and how they generate business for you.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. Well, Adam, do you have any other stuff on your tabs to share? I'm not sure how many things we click through here.
Yeah, no, I was just going to
But
kind of show,
yeah.
I was going to kind of show a couple different things real quick. So this is just another website. Like I said, we've been doing junk removal and moving over the past couple months. This is how the moving site has gone just over the last 90 days comparative to the first 90 days. So this is the Google Analytics platform. So you can see so if you don't have this set up on your website, again, this is a free tool to set up. It's allowing you to see your website traffic and then see where it comes from. And then you can build out goals for conversions and all these different things. But it shows you how many users you've had, how many sessions. So like if you've had a user that's came back multiple times, that's where the sessions has come in.
Mm.
Bounce rate is how often people are just going from one page to the next and what that percentage is. So that one's a little bit more confusing. Obviously, you want that to go down, but when you are increasing your users by 42%, you're going to get people kind of hopping
Right.
in and around. And then there's session duration. So that's kind of the other aspect of this too. So how long the average user is on your website. And then from there, you can tell your traffic channel. So like direct traffic, organic traffic, meaning
Mm.
search engine optimization, and then things like Facebook. So
Right.
this is just for that moving website. And then I was going to kind of dig a little bit deeper. This is a window cleaning client
Mm-hmm.
that this data speaks a little bit better because there's more of it.
Yeah.
So over the last 6 months to the previous 6 months, since we took over the SEO, it's gone up about 2,000%.
Mm.
Sorry, 1,200%
Yeah.
in terms of users, sessions, bounce rate, duration. So this is like a great example of what search engine optimization can do.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest difference in terms of what SEO can do, and this is just taking a look at where the traffic is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
This client used to be pretty heavily focused on Google ads along with some other advertising. And we've been able to grow the amount of users by 1,200%, but flip the switch on where the traffic's coming from. So now over 50% of all users are finding them based on window cleaning, power washing, near me, in the areas that they service, instead of, you know, being 1,200% less than they are right now and paying for those clicks that they had previously. So this is a drastic example to show you, what's possible when search engine optimization is done correctly and what it can do for your ROI in terms of marketing and advertising.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And it's some of this stuff, you got to be honest, seems intimidating.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, absolutely.
This seems intimidating. You see these graphs and these, you got bar graphs and line graphs. I'm like, oh man, I'm back in 8th grade.
Yeah.
But Adam, share with folks, how much simpler is this than it looks?
It's a lot more
the actual concept.
The actual concept is very simple. And I can break it down, and I do video audits for anyone that's interested in seeing where they're at to where their local market is. But the easiest way to explain it is that you have your website. That website can be a partner with search engine optimization. Search engine optimization is Google. Google has to read your website just like your end consumer is going to read your website, but it's in a different formula. In order to move up the ranks, in order to be the top results, you have to put yourself in a position and check boxes and continuously work on it. So I refer to it as running a marathon. If you're prepping and or running for a marathon and you take off, a month or a couple weeks and you kind of go and do other things and don't focus on it, those results are going to reflect itself. Yeah. So we continuously are doing efforts to put the website in front of Google, in front of the end consumer. Very simple and easy, but it's just a simple language barrier between your website and search engines. You want to make sure that your website is being correctly explained and targeted to Google. So then that way you can get your best return on your investment. So it can be very complex, but when you actually see it in action and you kind of see what makes sense and what does it, it's easier to explain. But there's a lot to it, but I just explain it as running a marathon, training for it, putting your website in a position to win that marathon or, get to the first page.
Yeah, that's such a good analogy. That's so good. And I mean, you could use that analogy with business in general, right?
Exactly. Yep.
It's not about that first mile. That first mile is, nobody remembers who's in first place after the first mile.
Yeah, exactly.
They remember who crosses the ticket and they go home with the medal. So
yeah.
Cool. But man, this is stellar. What would you say? So let's flip the coin. We've been kind of talking about, well, if you're a new business owner, what if we say, okay, an owner that has been around in business for several years, they're very rooted, very established. They get most of their business or from referral and repeat. So what do we say to those people that they're like, well, we're doing good with what is coming in now, and we're not really we're not getting our hands dirty a lot with this stuff. What do you say to those folks?
So the biggest thing right now that I'm having conversations with a lot of companies that are in that space, especially because they've been flooded because people have been moving crazily amounts across the country.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect example. The bigger thing is, if you're looking to scale your company and have it in a position, whether you want to grow it or sell it or responsibly scale it and know your true numbers, you can't really do that with anything other than digital marketing. And not to mention, people are using websites more than ever. They're on social media. They're on Google more than they've ever been before. So that person that might have always been, your business might have always been front and center on because they were in, local groups or, so-and-so kept seeing business cards, all those things.
Yeah.
The likelihood that that's going to continue is pretty much non-existent in terms of sustainable growth. Right. So if you want to build out a system and a process to know, hey, if I give Adam $10, what am I going to get in return?
Yeah.
That's built up over time, and you know that. So you can then scale responsibly and plan for the future and kind of know what you're getting. So it's more of just, if a company's not interested in growing, they're not looking to expand and scale and grow and all those things,
Yeah.
then digital marketing probably isn't needed for them. They're content with where they're at. But if you're looking to expand and grow and do all those things, the easiest way to do it is through digital marketing. It's not that it can't be done those other ways, but you're going to have to do a lot of feet on the street, a lot of grassroots stuff, time and effort and sweat to make it happen. So it's just doing it responsibly in a ROI-driven fashion that can be done online.
Yeah, and the thing that popped in my head when you were talking about, like literally what's the owner's goal?
Mhm.
And part of that is, do you know your exit strategy?
Yep.
Especially with service-based businesses, most people at some point, you're not going to want to do it. Like, you're going to want to retire. You're going to want to go do something else, or, maybe you're going to want to give it to your kids. Maybe that's your exit strategy. But what if the kids don't want the business? What if you don't have enough money? Like, what if you didn't do your numbers right? So, there is a time when you should think about it earlier than later is, am I going to, how could I sell this business at the highest amount? What kind of deal could I set up to where maybe I have a residual coming off the business? Well, if that's the case, wouldn't you want it jamming? So that way, when you do exit out of the operational part and you maybe are just like a residual shareholder and someone else has the majority of it, well, I would rather have a lot more of money coming in than not. So I think when people are like, no, I'm fine, like, we're good where we're at, I'm like, well, that's the moment that you're going backwards, right? Because it's just too competitive. There's too many people are working hard and passing you when you're not thinking about racing anymore. And
Absolutely.
I don't know. What's your thoughts there?
No, I mean, 100%. And that's kind of like the thing is, what are you doing today that's going to put you in a position tomorrow? And if you're standing pat or content with where you're at, new companies are entering these types of industries all of the time. And those are the companies that a lot of times are looking for someone like ourselves, in my company and in your company, because they're new, they're hungry, they're trying to figure out how they can enter in a market that's pretty difficult to do so. So if someone's willing to invest time, money, and equity into doing that, those are the people that, maybe not this year, maybe next year, this time, or even the year after, are going to take those leaps and bounds and consistently inch forward to do that. Whereas companies that have been around for a while, those companies are either going to stay where they're at, they're going to scale back, or the ones that are there, they have the firepower, they're going to continue innovating and going with the next biggest thing and invest in that. And those are the companies, along with the new people coming in the market, that are looking to be able to adapt and change on the fly, that are the ones that are going to be successful.
Yeah. So we're on the wrap up here. I like what we're doing though. One last thing I want to ask you. This is a good topic here. So we're in November. Well, we're not November yet. We're basically right here in the beginning of November. Where do you see the economy and the market going for these types of companies over the next 6 to 12 months? What do you think in your gut, and from what you do in business, where do you think we're going to be when it comes around March and June in 2021?
Yeah. So I think with the industries that I'm working in, so the moving, junk removal, all the contractor type spaces, those industries are going to continue to grow, not at the rate that it did this year, but the business is all still going to be there. I think you're going to see companies get phased out. You're going to see a lot of companies acquire smaller ones. So it's, again, really focused on the technology and the software piece. So that even goes further from the digital marketing stuff. But how are you utilizing your CRM? How are you taking payments? How are you managing your online reputation? Because everything is going to eventually go online. You're going to only pay on your line. You're only going to submit and schedule your appointments online. That's where everything is going. So the quicker that you can adapt and change and know that software as a solution and technology is the future of all this stuff,
Mhm.
that you're going to be ahead of it, just like people were ahead of what they did in terms of digital marketing and COVID and all that stuff. So I think those are kind of the biggest things. You're going to see a mixture of acquisitions, people phased out, but then also more investments and more advancements in
Mhm.
technology and how it helps our day-to-day business.
Mm. Yeah, and I really wanted to ask you that here towards the end, because I think that's, I mean, if we're being honest, that's what a lot of people are kind of thinking in the back of their head. They're like,
Yeah,
what's it going to be like a year from now? We've got a lot of
absolutely.
factors, right? We've got political factors, we've got which influence economical the economy. Um, Not to jump into that conversation, but there's a lot of stuff that's influencing our businesses right now. So
Yeah.
real quick, Adam, I want you to talk about you're partnered up with a POS system. I want you to talk about that real quick, because I want people to hear about that.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
um, after talk about that, just segue into, how does somebody get in touch with you? More than likely, what I will tell people is probably get in touch with the Move Up Consulting team,
Yep.
and because we're probably gonna have something where it's gonna be a good deal and a good partnership where they work on both ends.
100%.
But talk about the POS system and tell folks about that.
Yeah, so we're partnered up with a company called Certain Pay. They're an independent company that focuses on merchant services. So we specialize in payment processing. So taking your payments, we're actually working with a couple moving companies potentially in implementing mobile readers, so that way they can take payments on the fly. But we can set up with a terminal in the office, online payments, integrate with whatever you need in terms of a CRM for the most part. And then we also do have the ability to partner that with a POS system. So if there's any particular POS system that you're currently utilizing, looking to get into, we can make that happen. And as an independent company with access to multiple processors, I always explain it like an independent insurance broker. We
Mm,
have so many different options for our clients that we can then go back and find not only the most competitive rate, but the best solution for the services that they need. Not everyone needs a mobile reader. Not everyone needs to be able to take payments online. And
mm,
instead of some other companies that are just going to have that straightforward, here's our solution, take it or leave it, we're going to put together a package that's good for you. We don't have contracts on payment processing. We don't ever increase those rates. And we just launched an app for companies that are out there to see their effective rate right now, because credit card processing can be confusing.
yeah.
And we kind of want to bridge that gap. And that's why it's been such a good section for us to work in with digital marketing, from basically filling the pipeline to helping take the payments. We have a solution in there to put you in a better position
Mhm.
tomorrow than you were in today.
Yeah. Yeah. And anybody that's kind of, because that's a thing that people constantly, it's a great example what you talked about, insurance broker. It's one of those things that it's just one, you have to have it as a business owner, and two, there's a lot of options. And,
Yep.
I think it's the POS stuff is sometimes people are real skeptical. They're like, well, am I gonna, the rates seem good now, what they're gonna be like in 2 years, or
Mhm.
what they're gonna be like in six
All right.
months. And can you?
There's another thing too with that. We have two different main options. So we have the traditional credit card processing option, which is where you as the business pays the fee. We have another option called cash discount, where it actually the consumer pays that fee. And a lot of companies are actually out there upcharging 5% for a consumer paying for the credit card, but that's actually the non-compliant way of doing it. So we can do it in a compliant format, just pass that, 4% or whatever it is onto the consumer. And then the business doesn't pay any fee at all.
Yeah.
And if the consumer wants to pay with cash, or if they still take check, they just get a discount for doing so. They don't have to pay the 4%. So there's a lot of creative things that are out there that people just never know about, that are changing the game for their businesses, and making what is a headache today kind of just nothing for them tomorrow. So
Yeah, totally, totally. So how does somebody get connected with you? Just if they want to check out like some of your stuff, they want to see,
yeah,
because that's what people do. They want to
yeah,
check it out. They want to see if we're like a real person or a robot. How can I check you out?
Yeah. So, I mean, I connect with a lot of people on Facebook, so feel free to connect with me on Facebook, Adam McChesney. That's McChesney. Can also check out our website at www.mizzmarketing.com. So that's MIZZ marketing.com. Phone number is 314-540-9092. Those are the easiest ways, but definitely connect with Winston. Like I said, we're going to be partnering on some stuff. So we'd love to continue to grow our presence with marketing companies from digital stuff through payments. So connect with him and we'll get you a good deal and get you moving forward.
Sweet, man. Sweet. Dude, this was a blast. I was super stoked. We were like popcorn in here. Just
yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I apologize about Georgie turning my stuff off.
Oh, whoa.
There's Georgie.
See, that's not the dog I expected. I expected some like golden retriever, lab.
Georgie's a 3-pound cavapoo. So he's a young pup.
Yeah, very cool, man. Very cool. Well, folks, we're going to sign off here, but I'm going to put in the description for when we post this up. So that way you can go back and watch it. I'll have Adam's info, link to his website, his contact info. So that way you can just find it there. Be really simple. This will get posted on the Move Up Consulting page as well as on our YouTube page. So go crush it. We'll see you guys at the top and have an awesome rest of the day. See you guys.
Thank you.